So just about to start making the grow tunnels, so I thought I'd give you a run through as to equipment, tools that are going to be needed. So what do we need? Going to need a hacksaw, tape measure, some sort of metal rod which act as your anchors, some appropriately sized hose clips. For this I'm using 25mm alkaline water pipe, hammer of some description, screws of appropriate size, drill, and then a few lengths of timber. A bit of thinking and yeah, a little bit of patience as well. So first things first, unwrap your pipe, and then what we're going to have to do is measure out some lengths. Scientific way is width of your bed times by half of pi. So pi is 3.14, divide that by 2, times it by the width of your bed, and that will give you the length that you'll need to create a hoop of the equivalent of equivalent height of half the width of your bed. So my beds are 1.3 meters wide, so to give me something that's have a middle height of about 70 centimeters, I need to cut some lengths of 2 meters. So that would be my first thing, is with a little helper we'll measure out some sections of pipe I should say. I'm going to do 4 sections per bed, so we'll be measuring out 4 sections at 2 meters long each, and that's the first job. So if you just run the tape measure along the surface of the pipe, get someone else to help you do your marking like so, and then so that's marked out at 2 meters, and then just use your hacksaw to cut through it. Okay, so we've got all the materials up at the allotment now. These couple are fine because they've got hardy vegging, but this one here is the first that I'm going to cover, just give a bit of protection to the seeds. Setting out the materials, so I don't know if you can tell, but these battens are a bit shorter than the bed. So the battens themselves are 3.6 meters in length, and the bed is just over 3.9. So what you need to do is position them so they're equal distance in from the ends of the bed, kind of roughly so, but we will make it more accurate. And then these will be getting screwed up to that point there, so level with the top rim, and you'll see why later. Both battens are now in, and what we did was we put a screw in one end, other end, and because these are 3.6 meter sections, I've then done 2 further screws which are 1.2 meters in from that end to here, and 1.2 meters in to there. So it gives us a nice equal spacing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put these rods, hammer those down at the same point as where the screws are. These rods just come from a local DIY store. They were 1 meter lengths, and I've cut them down into 50 centimeter lengths. Want it that long so that it will give us really good fixing into the ground. And all you're going to do is literally, well, push until you can do, which is probably this top work section, and then we'll hammer down so we're a couple of inches above. Yeah, we'll go a couple of inches above. That's the next job. So you'll be doing 3, 4 on each side. As you see, so we're just getting all the rods into place. And as I say, these first few have been done, hammering those down so they just stick up about 2 inches above your boarding. Having got the pegs in, lay out your hoops roughly, and then what you want to do is measure from end to halfway on all 4 of those and mark the middle point. Once you've got the middle point marked out, then you can then hook onto one side, then onto the other. Let me just show you. You might need help if it's on a larger span or if your pipe is a little bit brittle, and the pipe will be going down so it sits about 2 inches below the top of the board. And once I say kind of missed the step, but we'll come back to it, and what you'll find is your middle marking should then be level with the middle of your bed, run all the way through. So I'll whip this off, mark all of these with my helper, and then we'll get all the sections in place for you. So now the hoops are roughly in place, what you want to do is measure down so that the base of the piping is 2 inches below the rim. This is where your brackets come in, so you want to make sure they're nice and level. Screw the bracket so that it is level with the top of the timber work, and work your way all the way down each of the sides. Now we've got the 4 hoops up, what you need to do is cut a section that will span from this end all the way to that end. Now in order to do that, you need to cut this 3rd batten to the correct length. So what we're doing is you run your tape measure from the back end of that pipe to this one. So that will give us, in this instance, 3 meters 58 centimeters. So that's what we need to cut this section of timber to, and then we will fix it running through the centres. So let me cut this quickly. So just lay your timber along the side there, and then you can then mark where the centre of the pipe is, and that will then be, that mark there will then sit centre to here. So that's the next thing. You will definitely need some help to hold the wood in place, as we need to fix it on one end and then onto the other. So we fixed one just there, and then what you can then do is, whilst the other person's holding it, you can then move your pipe to get it correct so that your centre point there lines up with the centre of the timber and also your marked line. If you do the middle ones first, it's quite often easier, because then you'll see where the ends are out, and that will allow you to pull it all in nice and tight. So I'll just get these screwed down. So I've got the centre beam in place, or purlin, whatever you want to call it. Because the light levels are fading quite quickly now, we'll come back in another day and get the last bit done, but you can see that already it's nice and secure, that's not going to fall over, and it's looking nice and tidy. So next stage will be getting some tape that goes over each of the beams, which is called an anti-hotspot tape. Okay, another day and I'm back. Just got to finish off these hoops. So this is what I was missing from yesterday. It's called anti-hotspot tape, and its purpose is basically to act as a bit of an insulation and balance out temperatures. So you generally use it on polytunnels, but equally you'd use it on these sort of grow houses as well. And the idea being is that you stick it to the outside of the pipework or your frame, and it goes up and over, and it conceals any of these screws that you may have in it, and it acts as a bit of an insulation, and reduces the differences in the temperature between these pipes and more so normally, say like that tunnel over there that's made of steel. Balances out the differences so you don't get the pipes heating up, which can then cause the polythene or shade covers to then melt and stick to the pipework, which makes it near enough impossible to take them off for removal or swapping without damaging. So anyway, that's the next job, is to stick this anti-hotspot tape up and over all these hoops, and you want to cut them so they finish flush to the edge or just up. It doesn't really matter too much, you haven't got to be precise, but it doesn't want to have sort of big gaps. You know, we're talking a centimetre within distance. So there you have it, that's the first one done. And so it's literally just a case of stick onto the frame and then make sure you press it down as you go. Right, we've now got the hotspot or anti-hotspot tape on. Next stage, just need to put some screws in. So these are your securing screws that will help hold down the polythene once you get to that stage. You want to put it roughly halfway between your posts, and again kind of a couple of inches down from this top batten. So yeah, you need to do that in your spaces. Then you'll also need 2 screws on that end and 2 screws on this end, fairly close to the edges, probably about 10-15 centimeters from the corner point. So that's the first one in. You can see it's about 2 inches down and it is sticking out roughly, well, 2 inches out. Alternative to screws, you can also use some eyes or hooks. Screws I find well, they're easier because you can just use a screwdriver to put them in. Hook will work just as well, although it's a bit more turning in. Vine eye, you can use them, but they are more permanent, as you will see a little bit later. So we've got the polythene on, and this bit is a 2-person job. What you need to make sure is, as you're setting out, you've got the middle of your polythene lined up with your centre batten, and you've got enough excess to hang, so it comes from the top of your hoop down to at least the base. That gives you the option if you want to tuck it into the soil, or alternatively how I'm going to do it, which is tie it all down. And what we'll do is we'll start at one of these screws. Well, I take that back. We will start at this corner screw and make our first section of string go over to that screw there, and then we come back, and so you're zigzagging to lightly secure it. So having done one set of zigzag, we've come to this point here, and then what you want to do at the end is bunch it all together so you get the ends nice and tight, and it will end up coming across to here with the string. So let me just get this tidy and I'll show you. So what we do is you just pull it in and twist both sides so that you are turning it in until you meet in the middle, scrunch it together, and then taking the rope, bring the rope over the top and looping underneath like so, and you come back to that screw, and then we then begin the process again, doing the reverse zigzag. Once we get to the far end, we'll replicate this piece. Right, so there you can see that we've come down the other side, secured, and come across, and on the last section all I've done is just gone around the first one, so that just stops it from moving. Come down to the last point and tying off here. What you can do, you can put another screw in if you want to. So as you can see, the tunnel's pretty tidy. It's not a tunnel that's intended to keep out all the pests and vermin or whatever from here. You know, you're still looking to be checking these growing spaces fairly frequently to make sure that nothing's eating, but it is intended to keep the soil warmer and to give you that all-important frost protection if you're growing some late seedlings, such as well, like I am. You know, I've got some radish and carrot and a bit of radicchio still on the go, well, some seedlings in there. So you know, that's what you're doing, is trying to prolong the growing season. But that's it. Nice, simple, relatively inexpensive grow tunnel, and that's my way of doing it. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you liked it. If you've got any questions at all, then please send them over to me, and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. If you like what I'm doing, then please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so I don't miss out on the future videos that I'm doing. And yeah, we are autumn. Well, we're middle of November, so we're nearly into winter, but there are things to do in the garden. There's things to do indoors. So yeah, keep having fun and enjoying doing your gardening. And until I see you next time, mind how you go.